Hello students. The last topic what I spoke about was the different nature of environmental geography. What comes under nature of environmental geography, that is the place, space, sustainability, scale, all of that was covered. Now we are going to come to the scope of environmental geography. Before I speak about the scope of environmental geography, let's understand this definition. What is biotic and abiotic environment? Biotic environment includes all living organisms and biological life such as animals, birds, forests, reptiles, insects, bacteria, and microorganisms like algae and fungus. Abiotic environment includes all living components, all non-living components such as land, mountains, rivers, air, water, temperature, humidity, water vapor, sand, dust, clouds. So this gives a very good description of what is biotic and abiotic environment. Now we move on to scope of environment. Now when we talk about scope of environment, understand all what comes under scope of environment, and then we'll go to scope of environmental geography. We'll relate all this to the environmental geography. Now scope of environment, basically it consists of atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere and biosphere. Atmosphere is the virtual ocean of air. Hydrosphere is the surface of earth filled with any form of water. Lithosphere, it is the outer shell of the earth composed of crust and the rigid outermost mantle. Biosphere is the place on earth where life exists. Now, keeping the scope in mind, scope of environment in mind, we need to understand that what is the scope of environmental geography. Environmental geography, actually it prepares us for the careers in environmental planning, design and restoration, as well as in environmental assessment. So what are the scope of environmental geography? Point wise we'll understand that. It is basically environmental science comes under environmental geography, environmental engineering, environmental system, environmental relationship with man and environment, environment policy, laws and rules, global environment issues. Now, when we talk about environmental science, there are 7 points for scope of environmental geography. So that is, when we talk about environmental science, what are we talking about? It deals with the scientific study of environmental system, that is the air, water, soil and land, and the inherent changes on organisms and the damages which are incurred because of the human interaction. This comes under environmental science. Environmental engineering as a scope of environmental geography. This deals with the technical process involved in the protection of environment from the potentially the bad effects of human activity and improving the human quality. Now, when I talk about the scope of environmental geography where environmental management is concerned, this is basically given with regard to physical, social and economic environment of the enterprise or the projects. It encourages, when we talk about management, it encourages planned investments at the start of the production rather than forced investment. It generally covers areas as environment and enterprise objectives, the structure of the environment, the interaction of nature, society, and the enterprise. All of that comes under environmental management. Even economics of pollution, prevention, and environmental management standards also come into the environmental management. The fourth point of scope of environmental geography is environmental system. It deals with understanding the interaction among the four spheres. If you look at this figure, there are the four spheres, which is that biosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and atmosphere. So this includes the study of this ecosystem and ecological degradation, structure and components of ecosystem, the energy flow, all related to the ecosystem, the changes in the ecosystem stability, all of that comes under environmental system. The fifth point of scope of environmental geography is the relationship between man and environment. Now, this I have spoken a lot about. It studies the relationship between man and environment. It studies the fundamental theories and aspects of environment and the relationship with the man and its society. Then again, the procedures, the theoretical part of ecology, the modernization of ecology, all of that comes between this in this man-environment relation. The sixth point is environmental policy, laws and rules. Environmental geography here as a scope includes what the study of environmental policy, the legislations. We see India is an agricultural country, so there are some legislations which are related to agriculture, then industry, health and sanitation, energy and fuel, water development, flood control. So all rules pertaining to these terms come under environmental policy and rules. The last point under scope of environmental geography is global environment issues. Now, when we talk about the global environmental issues, environmental geography deals with global environmental issues like global warming, greenhouse effect, the emissions, thinning of the ozone layer, all of that we are well aware what we are facing in today's times, the climate change. So this sums up the scope of environmental geography. Now we'll come to the approaches of environmental geography. Now when I'm going to talk about the approaches of environmental geography, what does that mean? Now in the beginning of the process of evolution of man and his society, physical elements of earth formed man's environment. Only the physical elements formed the man's environment. Now with the evolution of the human beings, their needs, their wants increase. So to fulfill these needs and wants, humans started using the natural resources which were available and started creating their own environment, started creating his own environment for better shelter, for better food, better standard of living means better shelter, better food and comfort. So to understand environmental relationship, there are 5 approaches. Now, when I talk about approaches, is what do you mean by approach? It is a way of getting closer. It has been a big, an integral part of the environmental study. The relationship between man and environment has been a important part of the environmental study. So there are different facets of this through which we can understand the dimensions of environment and the human society. So it can be evaluated through different approaches. Now there are 5 approaches basically over here, 5 or 6 approaches also: environmental deterministic approach, teleological approach, possibilistic approach, economic deterministic approach, ecological and geographic approach is also there. Now let's understand what is this environmental deterministic approach. When I talk about environmental deterministic approach, this approach is based on the basic tenet that earth made man. Now here environment is creator of human beings. All the human beings are depend on nature or environment. The deterministic perspective of man-environment relationship here is man is subordinate to nature and environment is dominant on man. This approach was given by E.C. Semple in 1910. This concept is discussed by Grossman in 1977 on the basis of Darwin's concept of natural selection and adaptation to environmental factor. Basically, here what is it saying? This approach is trying to say that it's saying that earth made man and it pays more attention on the complete control. It pays attention, this approach pays attention on the complete control of physical environment on man and his activities. So, in fact, according to the deterministic perspective, man is subordinate to natural environment and all aspects of human lives, that is the health or the comfort, social, economic, political, not only depend but are dominantly controlled by the physical environment. This was given this approach was given by us by E.C. Semple to us in 1910. Now over here, he also published E.C. Semple published her book that is called Influences of Geographic Environment, where she said that man is a product of the earth's surface. This means not merely that he is a child of the earth, dust of her dust, but the earth has mothered him, fed him, set him tasks, directed the thoughts, confronted him difficulties, and sharpened his wits. So all of that has been explained by E.C. Semple in 1910, and that's her interpretation in her book, which is named as Influences of Geographic Environment. Now here, when we come to the possibilistic approach, Lucien Febvre, the first to use the word possibilism, wrote that, what do you mean by possibilism? There is no necessities, but everywhere possibilities, and man as master of these possibilities is the judge of their use. What does this mean? We'll throw some light on this approach. Possibilistic approach. Vidal de la Blache, reflecting on this, often spoke of environmental possibilities which led to possibilism. Febvre was a profounder of the concept of possibilism. This concept basically indicates that physical environment is passive and man is the active agent, means the underlying agent is the environment and man is the active agent at liberty to choose between a wide range of environmental possibilities. Now here, when I put it in short, what is this? It is basically shows that possibilistic approach to the study of man-environment relationship emerged to the criticism of the determinism approach, the deterministic or determinism approach. So right from the inception of the school of environmental determinism, there was dissenting voice which believed that no doubt physical environment influences man. In determinism, it was said that physical environment influences man and his activities. But in possibilism, students, there is ample scope for man to change the environment, so much so that it may become suitable for man and his society. According to possibilism, the pattern of human activity is the result of the initiative and mobility of man operating within the natural framework. Nowadays, the role of natural elements in conditioning, though not controlling human activities, is often lost sight of. Vidal de la Blache opined that the lifestyles of people were the product and reflections of civilization, representing the integrated result of physical, historical, and social influences governing human relations with his habitat. Here, Vidal tried to explain differences between groups in identical or similar environment and pointed out that these differences were not the product of dictates of physical environment but the outcome of other factors such as variations in attitudes, values, and habits. This concept became the basic philosophy of the school of possibilism. So the second approach which is being spoken about is possibilistic approach. Over here, if we understand this is basically Febvre made a remark that there are no necessities but everywhere possibilities, and the man as a master of these possibilities is the judge of their use. There were two French geographers, Vidal de la Blache and Jean Spruance, an American geographer, Isaiah Bowman and Carl Saucer, who founded the school of possibilism, which is based on the philosophy of possibilism in nature at every stage. The people began to understand their environment and the forces of nature with the passage of time. With social and cultural development, humans develop better and more efficient technology. They move from a state of necessity to a state of freedom. In possibilistic approach, they create possibilities with the resources obtained from the environment. The human activities create cultural landscape. The imprints of human activities are created everywhere. Health resorts on highlands, huge urban sprawls, freeds, orchids, pastures and plains and rolling hills, satellites in space. Nature provides opportunities and human beings make use of these, and slowly nature gets humanized and starts bearing the imprints of human endeavor. So this is the second approach we have spoken about, that's possibilistic approach. Now when we talk about teleological approach. Now this basically teleological approach, this is the third approach, which is based on religious faith of man being superior to nature and all other creatures. This approach of man-environment relationship led to excessive and rapid exploitation of natural resources in North America and Europe and other parts of the world which were their colonies. Now, a host of scientists and environmentalists have held the religious tradition responsible for present-day ecological crisis. This approach of man towards nature and environment stimulated the Europeans to spread all over the world in search of unexplored land and resources. Because of this approach, the Europeans spread all over the world in search of land and resources. Numerous colonies were established in all of these inhabited continents. After 1750, they began a race of exploitation of natural resources and widespread industrialization in Europe and America. The process continued for last centuries and created most of the present day environmental problems. So because of this approach, teleological approach, today present day environment problems have been created. So this is the third approach which we have spoken about. Then fourth approach basically is the economic deterministic approach. Now when we talk about the economic deterministic approach, what do you mean by the economic deterministic approach? This approach is based on the basic ideology of the man mastery over environment and continued economic and industrial expansion through the application of modern technologies. Economic determinism is based on two assumptions. Basically, this economic deterministic approach talks about that man has mastery over environment and continued economic and industrial expansion through the application of modern technology is there. It is based on two assumptions. What are the two assumptions? There is a positive correlation between population of a given region and level of economic development and activity in that region. The interactions of people, resources, and society being governed by universal economic policy. This approach basically believes in man's ability to solve environmental problems. So, according to the economic deterministic approach, man has the ability to solve environmental problems which arise due to continued economic growth and industrial expansion. This led to This also led to actually exploitation of natural resources in the Western developed countries, and this also created a lot of environmental and ecological problem of global dimensions at a global level. This is the fourth approach, which is economic deterministic approach. Now we'll talk about the geographic approach. What do you mean by geographic approach? The geographic approach refers to using geographic science supported by GIS as a framework for understanding our world and applying geographic knowledge to solve problems and guide human behavior. Now, over here, what we have to do, if you look at the figure, it sums up a lot of understanding of how geographic approach works. That is creating. Creating is measuring, organizing, analyzing, and modeling. Applying basically is planning, designing, deciding, managing, and acting. Now, geographical knowledge, what you derive from that is holistic, comprehensive, it is systematic, analytic, and visual. So over here, the geographic approach refers to using geographic science, which is supported by GIS. Understanding our world geography is the science of our world. Describing the physical patterns, the cultural patterns, and processes of a pattern also is a part of geographical approach. Now, what does this approach help us? This science provides humans with awareness of what's going on, predictions what may happen, and systematic information for planning and decision making. Geography helps us understand various spatial phenomena and interrelationships between them. Now, example, if you see the relationship between land use, survival, hydrology, flooding, biodiversity. Now, all the knowledge of this helps us understand as a society to become more conscious and aware of the interrelatedness of our world and how cumulative behavior is affecting the evolution of the planet. Today's time, GIS is extending the power of geography by providing digital tools that abstract and organize geospatial data, more geographical processes, and with advanced computer techniques. It is helping us apply this geographical knowledge to actually face a lot of problems, to deal with a host of problems ranging from organizational inefficiencies and decisions that require examining geographic factors. So in geographic approach, basically what is very important, what plays a very important role is the GIS. The GIS over here is very valuable. The next and the last approach, the sixth approach, what we are going to talk about is the ecological approach. Now, when I talk about the ecological approach is also basically to study the man-environment relationship, which is based on some principles of ecology, which is the study of mutual interaction between organisms, a physical environment on one hand, and the interaction among the organisms on the other hand in the ecosystem. Thus, this is the reason man is considered as an integral part of the environment. Now, the relationship of man with the natural environment should be symbiotic. This approach recognizes man being most skilled and intelligent. Over here, man's knowledge and skill is given more importance in ecological approach, as he has as the leader of all biota of the earth. In this approach, it is further said that emphasis lay on wise and restrained use of natural resources, application of appropriate environmental management programs, policies, strategies, keeping in view the ecological principles so that the depleted natural resources are replenished. See, there is a lot of depletion which has already happened. How can these be replenished? Comes under this approach. Wherever possible and degraded environment is set right and balance is maintained. The ecological approach lays emphasis on rational exploitation of resources and making optimum utilization. There should be fair exploitation of resources and optimum utilization. How is that possible? Through recycling of resources. So, students, here in this, I have completed the approaches of environmental geography. The first one I spoke about was environmental determinism approach. Then I spoke about the possibilistic approach. I discussed about teleological approach. Then we went to geographic approach, economic deterministic approach, and last, ecological approach. To end this lesson, we are going to understand in brief what do you mean by when we talk about what is the importance of environmental geography. Now, environmental geography tells us about the importance of basically why is it important. Environmental geography is important because it tells us the importance of the protection and conservation of our uh, environment and how to release the pollution into the not to release the pollution into the environment. There are a lot of environmental issues which we know about, and as in terms of greenhouse effect, the harmful the ozone layer, the gases, climate change, all of this. So now, how can this become an important part, and why is it significant? Environment issues being of international importance. It has been the first thing is environment issues being of international importance. It has been well recognized that environment issues like global warming and acid rain, marine pollution, biodiversity, they are not national issues, but they have become global issues. So they have to be tackled with international efforts and cooperation. Students, if there is no cooperation amongst countries, or y'all can say, y'all have heard about the Paris climate pact, which was not signed by America a few years ago, has been again revoked and it will be signed upon by the new president of US, because now we are well aware of the harmful effects of global warming and the ozone depletion as a global issue, as it is not only affecting one particular country or region, it is affecting the whole world. Second, problems cropped in wake of development. Development in its wake gave birth to urbanization. Because there is development, advancement in technology, urbanization and industrial growth, different transportation systems and all of that have increased. So now this has phased out into the developed world also. The North to cleanse their own environment has factfully managed to move dirty factories of South. When the West developed, as we heard about in teleological approach, they started moving out in colonies and industrialization happened rapidly. So such a path is not good or not desirable. So we have to have that importance of environment in our lives and how do we use it and respect it and use it wisely. Explosively increase in pollution. Now, this pollution, agricultural experts have recognized soil health problems like deficiency of micronutrients and organic matter, soil salinity, and damage of soil structure. This can be seen, and it's quite evident in an agricultural country like India. So, this soil also is causing a lot of pollution. Need for an alternative solution. It is essential, especially for developing countries, to find alternative paths. So, we need to have a goal for this, which is a true goal for development on environmentally sound and sustainable development. A goal which is common, very important, a goal which is common to all citizens. a goal which is distant from the developing world in the manner it has from over-consuming wasteful societies. The fifth point, need for wise planning and development. Now, our survival and sustenance depends on a wise planned way of living. Resources withdrawal, processing and use of the product have all by synchronized with the ecological cycles in any plan of development, and it should be planned ecologically for sustainable environment and development. Last but not the least, fifth point, the sixth point, need to save humanity from extinction. Now it is incumbent upon us to save humanity from extinction. With all these growing issues, concerns which have more of a negative impact on our existence, our survival is going to be difficult. So, to save humanity from extinction, constricting the environment and depleting the biosphere in the name of development doesn't make sense. So that's why importance of environmental geography should be given some importance, as in a way it should be put into action. This sums up the first chapter. Next class we'll start with the second chapter. Thank you, class.